Hey everybody, in this video I want to talk about something that honestly changed everything for me as a trader, and that's keeping a proper trading journal. Look, I know everybody says journal your trades, but most people either don't do it or they do it completely wrong. And I was definitely one of those people for a very long time. I used to jot down random things in OneNote and I would write down like my trades, but I didn't understand actually what I was supposed to be getting from journaling and what the point of it all was. I wasn't actually learning anything. Over a year ago, I made a journaling video that did fairly well. And since then, I've been working on a software called TradePath because I got tired of using all of the basic tools that don't actually help you improve. So today, I'm going to show you guys exactly how I journal my trades. I'm going to walk you through a trade that I took yesterday, how I journal it, break down the whole process, what I track, what I ignore, and how this actually helps me make better decisions going forward and just make me a better trader. If you've been struggling with consistency and feel like you're making the same mistakes over and over again, then this might be exactly what you need. So let's jump in. Now, first and foremost, we have to understand why we journal and why people a lot of the times fail at journaling and don't really get anything out of it. Number one is most people journal the outcomes and not the actual process. They don't journal the input. They just will say, oh, well, this trade was a win, this trade was a loss, but they don't really understand, how they came to that decision and how they came to that outcome, right? We want to journal what was the input to get that outcome. Number two is there's just an ego problem with traders. People don't want to admit mistakes. People want to swipe it under the rug and say, oh, well, I'm not going to do it again. Trust me, I'm not going to do it again. But how many of you guys watching this video makes the same mistakes over and over again? And I'm not saying this to get on you because I used to do the exact same thing. When I first started trading, I would make the same mistakes over and over again. And I would push it to the side and say, oh, I'm not going to do it anymore. It's good. I don't need to worry about it anymore. Right? So people aren't really journaling their mistakes or wanting to confront them and recognize what the cause of it all was. The I'll remember is one of the biggest lies in trading. I used to never really put any time into journaling, and there was kind of two main reasons. Number one is there was no tool that actually, in my opinion, believed that I would help me to actually journal and understand what the problem was and actually help me fix the problems. I don't think a journal could do that until now. And I didn't really have the right guidance. I didn't know what to specifically look for and focus on when it comes to journaling and why it's also just incredibly important in life and in trading. Now, why do we journal? Journaling as a trader is where you get to be brutally honest with yourself and almost use it as like a self-therapy, because as traders, it is a lonely game. It's a solo game. It's you versus you. So it's almost an opportunity to you to go to yourself outside of the trading condition and say, okay, what really happened here? I feel like I came into the day. It was, maybe a little bit choppy, but I told myself I wasn't going to trade. And then I actually decided to trade. And then, it ended up blowing my account and all these things. When we hold all those things in, because at the end of the day, we will all make mistakes as a trader. We're all human, especially when we first start out. I would make the same mistakes over and over again. And like I said, push them under the rug, never confront them. One of the biggest reasons why journaling is so important is because it allows us to confront these things from a healthy perspective, saying, these are the things that went wrong. These are the things that did well. How can I use this information going forward to better my strategy, to better my edge, to better myself as an individual, and overall better myself as a trader? Now, tying to this, we're able to separate emotions from the analysis. We're able to look back and completely look at it from a third-person perspective and say, okay, what was this trade? Why did I take this? Was it because, I was actually chasing it and I had the idea of the market going higher, but it wasn't actually showing me that? Or did I just end up taking the setup because I didn't want to sit still? Was this a really good setup? Was it not a really good setup? Right. We are able to have no emotional detachment because we're going to it afterwards and looking at it from a new perspective. Our goal is to be reflective with journaling, not reactive, right? We've already been reactive. That was the trading side. Now it's time to flip to the reflective side and start to go back and see, were these decisions actually made correctly? Because if we don't actually do that, we're destined to make the same mistake over and over again because we're not actually understanding the decisions that we're making. And the last thing I want to cover of why journaling is so important is because there's a difference between actually building the habits to be successful and just doing it when you lose. How many times will we do something wrong when we take a loss and we say, oh, I got to do this now. I keep making this mistake, no more. But we're not actually building the habit. We will do it when we lose and we'll say, oh, we're not going to do it. Maybe we'll, stay disciplined for one trade and then we'll flip right back to the problem and again, cause us from being getting in our own way basically from our own success. So we have to come into it with the focus of we got to build this habit and focus on understanding who we are as individuals, who we are as traders to better our trading and our execution. So let me show you the trade that I took yesterday and let's journal this together. So this was a trade that I took on Friday and I want to kind of show you just my thought process and I'll break it down, number one, of why I took the setup and then how I actually journal it using TradePath. So kind of going into the day, if I was just, explain this to you, I had a bearish bias going into the day because we were back up inside this range. Market ended up selling off in the overnight session because of the news from Israel bombing Iran. In the morning, we started to pump all the way back up into this imbalance. To the left of us is where I marked Asia high. So this blue line was Asia high. And I wanted to see a possible rejection just to take a little short back to the downside. I wasn't looking, for a massive move all the way down. I really just wanted to see if we were going to have some sort of rejection to take a short back to the recent New York low. So when market opened, we ended up pumping straight towards Asia high. I started to recognize prices slowing down. We put in a new high. We lacked displacement first. We come up again, we put in a new high, and then this is where we put in an SMT. So basically we have a divergence between assets. We then sell off, comes back up, I take a short, and then I end up actually taking this off early, right? So this is very important because I want to recognize, right? What did I do right? What did I do wrong? So I was in this trade and I ended up taking this off early, right? So my initial price target was New York AM low. Keep in mind too, I also had planned to take this off when there was an SMT. So when ES had taken this low before NQ, but ES did not take this low until actually right here. So I ended up leaving around 50 points on the table for this trade, and it's not what I had planned to do, right? That's important. I want to recognize that so I can actually journal it. This was the trade that I took. Now, I want to show you guys how I actually journal this. So I'm going to go over to TradePath. This is currently my dashboard for the month. I'm up around 5.6K. Been trading low size this month, just, wanting to focus on confidence and conviction with my model while I'm working on this software as well. And so this is basically the journal. What I do is I go up to log day. And then this is basically this page where I want to start adding these trades. So I have my day rules that I've created. Something that we recently just added is our strategy and habit builder. So basically the first thing that I want to do using TradePath is I want to know what are my rules? Like what is my entry model? What is my strategy? What am I actually tracking? So on this page, what I've basically have is my trade rules and my day rules. So I have liquidity manipulation, right? I need some form of liquidity sweep or some form of manipulation. I need to have a confident draw on liquidity. So in this case, I want to see back to New York AM lows. I need to have a change in the state of delivery, and I need to have an SMT, right? So everything that we just talked about was in that trade. And then my day rules is I have 2 trades max on the day and no more than a 5K loss on the day. And then down here you can see kind of my habit builder, my rules, and my rules followed for the week. Last week was up 3,000. Rules followed were 88%. This week was 2,000, and then rules followed were 92%. So what's also cool too is we'll get AI insights, which we'll come back to and show you later. So the first thing I want to do is I want to actually log this trade. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to add this to my log day folder because then I can kind of add some more stuff. So up here, I go to my trade list, add trade, and then this is where I want to basically journal this. So what's cool about TradePath is we're adding a bunch of broker integrations and you can do it manually. So I can either connect my broker and it'll automatically infill my data, or I can do it manually. So I'm just going to do it manually with you because that's what I'm guessing a lot of the people end up doing. And I honestly like doing it manually. So this trade was $2,710. I made $2,700 in the day. We'll put this in here. I'm going to click futures, right? This was a futures. The symbol was on NQ. And then down here, I have my rules, right? So I want to check off, did I have liquidity and manipulation? Yes, right? What was the manipulation? The manipulation was internal buy side getting taken, SMT, right? We had our SMT, we had the internal buy side, and then we had the change in the state. So we have everything that we're looking for. I have confident draw, I have change in the state, I have SMT. So everything that I needed to see for this trade was right. So what I then do is I want to upload screenshots because I want to go back and possibly view this setup. So what I do is I do a top-down analysis. So I basically go to the 1 hour and say, I want to understand, first of all, where we were on the bigger time frame. So first thing I do is literally just boop, screenshot it, come back to TradePath, drag and drop. Super easy. And then I'll label this as a 4 hour, or I think it was a 1 hour chart. So I have now my 1 hour chart in here that I can go back and look at, and then I do the exact same thing. I come back down, zoom in. So when I go back, I'll actually be able to have a full understanding like, okay, this is what I was looking at on the bigger time frame. This is what I was looking at on the lower time frame. Come back here, 15 minute. and then I'll normally just do one more of whatever my entry time frame was, which was the 1 minute. So now I can go back, and now I have all of these screenshots that I can actually go back and view, right? Which is great. I can, close them, minimize them, expand them. If I want to look back and say, okay, what was the trade? What was that? My thought process. Now, when it comes to inputs, what I input is going to be different from everybody. And one thing that we're editing with TradePath right now is that this journal page will be completely customizable. So you'll be able to take off inputs that you don't use. You'll be able to customize whatever you want to input. So right now, what I want to journal is this was a short trade. I took this with 3 contracts. My stop loss, when I want to go back and review this, I want to understand, what the overall stop loss was. My stop loss was this high, so it was 769.21769. And then my gross P&L, I normally don't put in because it's already up here. That's why we're, again, changing some stuff around with this. Time of trade is very important. I want to know where my time of trade was. My entry was 10:01. My exit was 10:19. So just go 10:01. And then total points, total cost, I normally don't really use. But I do my planned and realized RR because one thing I want to journal, right, remember, is I took this off. So my planned RR here, if I was to draw this out, right, to this low, this was my original plan, was 4.39. So I want to mark this, right? My planned RR was 4.39, and my realized RR was around 2.17, right? So not really, that's like around half my RR of what I originally wanted to do, right? So now what I do is I then come down here, and I'm actually going to put my headphones in because this is like how I actually journal. And a lot of people don't really do how I do it because it better helps the AI understand. So then down here, we have a mistakes tag. So normally what I'm going to do for this is just took off early. Mark took off early for the mistake. And then down here for notes, kind of what I do about going about this is I actually just press record on my keyboard and I just talk about what I was looking for. Going into the day, I had a bearish bias. We ended up having really significant news in the overnight session, so we sold off a lot, but price ended up getting bought back up to the bigger time frame and efficiency. I was looking to see if Asia high would get taken and we would kind of lack a displacement to the upside so that I could take a short targeting back towards New York AM low. Whenever we put that SMT in at the highs, NQ failed to displace higher, and then we started to sell back off. Once I saw the change in the state in the SMT, I knew my model was present, so I ended up taking the short, and it ended up playing out really nicely. The only thing that I want to really take away from this trade, though, is I took it off early. It was probably in a little bit out of fear. We started to slow down a bit. I was in a little bit of size on my eval too. I was in my live account and some evals, so I decided to take those off early, which in turn ended up taking my live account off early because I was doing the same. Overall, a really good setup that I'm happy with. The only thing that I really had a problem with this setup is I just took it off early. So normally I'll do a breakdown of this and I'll just talk into my mic, and now I have this, great explanation. And what's cool about doing it this way, and because I don't like the type, right? And my goal is the more that I make TradePath, the more that I want to make it more seamless and better automized. And so kind of I've just been starting to treat it like this way, and then so we can build out the systems within it. But normally I'll just talk about the trade breakdown, and then I do one more and I just talk about specifically right and wrongs. So in this section, I just want to talk about and really think, what did I do right in this trade and what did I do wrong in this trade, and how can I look to improve? So this is kind of something that I would say. The things that I did right in this trade was I stayed patient and I waited for the market to affirm the idea in which I wanted to see, which was to sell back to New York AM. We started to slow down at the highs, and then once we had the change in the state, all of my rules and for my entry was there. So I followed my setup perfectly. The things that I did wrong was I ended up taking it off a little bit too early. Probably out of fear because there was no SMT at the lows. Another thing I could have done is honestly put on more size. It was a really good setup. I only took 3 contracts, which is around half my size. So I could have been a little bit more confident and put on those size. Biggest takeaway that I want to get out of this trade is that have confidence and conviction in where I think the market's going to go. If I have a confident draw on liquidity, let the market do its thing. Don't take it off early, and you'll be rewarded for it. So now I have all of this inputted. I have my rules. I have everything. So then I come back down here. I can mark my emotional state. Normally, I just do calm, and then I would rate this setup around an A-. And then I click submit, and this takes me back to my log day page where then I can check off my day rules. So did I take 2 trades max? No, I only took 1. So yes, I followed my rule. 5K max loss on the day. It's a great win. So I followed that as well. So pretty much all rules are followed. My rule adherence is 100%. I don't have to really change anything else. If you do want to journal on this page, you can. Now, the reason why we have journaling and screenshots on this is because if I have a no trade day, I can still go journal it. So you can see right here, there's a no trade day button. So I can still post screenshots and say, hey, this is what I was maybe looking for, but I didn't take the trade. So you can log no trade days as well. So then after I pretty much check off my day rules, that's all I use. And then I come down here, click submit. And there we go. It adds to my dashboard. It adds to my statistics. And I now have, oh, I actually did the wrong date on this. So let me go back. And there we go. It's journaled. It's on our dashboard. We have all of the statistics now infilled for the day. Now, what's cool about TradePath is if we go back to our strategy details, again, we can see everything that has now changed. We can see the data here. And what we can now do is right here, it says TradeStage AI Notes. If we click Analyze, it'll give us an entire breakdown of our trading. So I can see my overall rules followed percentage and my overall TradePath score. So in the strategy page, we can now see an updated dashboard. You can see my rules followed are around 91%. And then my TradePath score. What's cool about this is we basically have a score that we give you based off of all of these criteria. So win percentage, rule adherence, consistency, win-loss ratio, and profit factor. You can see my win-loss ratio needs to be upped a little bit more. The main direction in which we're taking TradePath is fully AI. So this was the first thing that we started to implement, which is our TradeStage AI Notes. So what we can do is within this strategy, we can click Analyze, and it'll basically give me a breakdown of my progress with this strategy as well. So it'll give me a rundown, my pre-trade rules. I did follow confirmed in notes. Asia high would get taken, lack of displacement, confident draw on liquidity, which was followed. Strong draw noted, confident draw on liquidity. Changing the state followed. Now, performance impact of the rules, right? So let's give this a little bit of a breakdown. This trade hit liquidity manipulation, confident draw on SMT, resulting in a 2,710 win. This is your A game. Early exit costed you. Planned RR was 4.39, but realized RR was 217. You left $2,500 on the table by cutting early. Notes admit fear drove this, took it off early, probably out of fear. Size hesitation, you acknowledged only taking half position, 3 contracts, full size, 6 contracts. Would have netted 5.4, 200 around. Talks about self-awareness growing, notes openly critiques and fear sizing. This honesty accelerates progress, right? Telling us we need to be more self-aware. Changes since last summary. Daily rules are locked in. No breaches of 2 trades max or 5K max loss. Fixed sustained, which is good. Per trade consistency solid. All criteria met for the last 3 weeks. Edge is proven when you follow your rules. Same old ghost. Early exits persist. On 2025 613, you left $1,000. This trade, you left $2,500. This is now a pattern, right? It's starting to call out to me, hey, you're leaving a lot of money on the table here. In the last couple trades, you've done the same thing. This needs to be fixed. It's now a pattern. Action plan. Stagger exits. Next A+ setup. All rules hit. Take 50% off at 2R. Let the rest ride to plan RR 4.39. Protects profits. Tests conviction. Pre-commit to size. If liquidity manipulation, confident draw, change and say SMT are aligned, full position is mandatory. No could've regrets. Replay this trade. Simulate holding 4.39R. Train your brain to tolerate pullbacks and journal fear triggers. Was it the size, 3 contracts, or price showing, and identify and disarm the trigger? Final thoughts. Your rule adherence is flawless this trade. That's why it worked. But until you fix early exits, you're capping your upside. This setup deserved every penny of its 4.39 potential. Trust your process, not your nerves. So it gives an entire breakdown of what I need to focus on. And again, it's completely right. I need to focus on holding those trades longer, right? It literally called out to me saying, brother, you took the exact same trade last week or a couple weeks ago saying, hey, you were going to let contracts run, but then you cut it off early, right? This is becoming a pattern. It's literally calling out to me what I didn't realize. I'm literally sitting here filming this video and I'm like, damn, wait, I actually did take a lot of positions off early in the last week, right? And it's telling that to me. So TradePath, right now, we're working so hard on our AI to point out these things to you and recognize these things. We've been working incredibly hard with a lot of things that I can't share yet that we're going to be pushing live with TradePath. Now, why does journaling work when done correctly? It forces self-awareness. It forces ourselves to be self-aware of our situation, of the decisions we're making. Are we doing them the way that we actually should be doing them and want to be doing them? Or do we find ourselves cutting ourselves short? TradePath enhances this process of being able to understand what are we doing, why we're doing it, and our AI basically calls out to you saying, hey bro, this is really what needs to be fixed, and this is what's causing our failure or our success. Now, what you have to understand is this software doesn't make you profitable, the process does. It's being able to sit down and actually understand and get the insights as to why you're making these mistakes and how you can actually fix them. But if you don't know what the problem is, you don't know. And you don't know what the problem is if you don't journal. This is why journaling is so important, because how can you expect to improve if you have no data? You need data to be able to tell you this works, this doesn't work. I fail when this happens. I succeed when this happens. And you're able to track your habits, track your rules, get AI insights, and get everything you need to be able to improve as a trader. Now, another little thing that's super cool about TradePath that we ended up implementing is I know how much people love to customize their charts. So we made the entire application fully customizable, which means you can basically change any sort of color in the application. If I was to kind of mess around here, we'll make maybe a purple one or a blue one. Let's see, background. We'll change this to like dark blue. That looks nice. Maybe we'll do background color the same. Something like this. Wind color, let's do like white. This we'll do like maybe like a purple. Like a pink. Try that. Boom. So fully customizable application. You can change the colors and whatever you want. I know traders love to customize their charts. So this was something that I wanted to implement. But yeah. Once you journal, again, you have your dashboard showing you your overall trade win percentage, your average win loss, your net P&L, and your overall total win loss on the days too. So you can see just from down here, most of the money I've been making is actually on a Monday, which is crazy. This month, normally, Mondays are normally my worst days, but we've actually been having really, really good price action on Mondays this month. So my most winners have been on a Monday. If you guys want to try TradePath for yourself and you want to start journaling your trades, use code JOURNAL101, only subject to this video, for 25% off your first month. Go try it out. Go test it. Let me know what you think. Give us feedback. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, because my goal is to continue to get user feedback, your guys' feedback, so I can continue to help make the best software possible for traders and to really help level traders up. But remember, the tool is only as good as your commitment to the process. Focus on understanding what you're doing right, have self-awareness, and use the tool to your advantage, because I guarantee you it will help you so much. Again, I'll leave the link in the description if you guys want to check it out. But thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you learned something, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.